What's going on, everyone? What's going on? What's going on? My favorite logical thinker. What's going on? What's going on with you? Um, for a very long time, and correct me if I'm the only one that thought this way, right? Because we can all be honest with ourselves. We all can keep it 100 with each other. It's no shame, right? Ignorance is something of not knowing. It's not because the way we perceive things. But we're not just talking about ignorance right now. But let me go on and get this thing started, right? Because for a very long time, I thought if you have knowledge, you have wisdom. Like they was like tied at the hip. I thought that you can't have one without the other. I thought that they was interchangeable. But that's because I didn't know. I didn't know that you can have one without the other. I didn't really I didn't think you can have. We're gonna go ahead and explain this thing. But let me go ahead and start this thing, right? Because I just want people to really understand where this thing can go. I want people to understand how important it is to tie these things together, right? So this says that the definition of knowledge, well, we got plenty of different things: facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education, the theoretical or the practical understanding of a subject, right? And then it breaks it down. Is an awareness of facts, from familiarity with individuals or situations, or practical skills. Knowledge of facts, also called propositional knowledge, is often characterized as true belief that is distinct from opinion or guesswork by virtue of justification. While there is a wide agreement among philosophers that propositional knowledge is a form of true belief, many controversies focus on justification, right? But I just want to I'll put knowledge is as simple as it is for me, is to know. If you know, you know. If you comprehend. Meek, hi Meek. How are you? How are you, Meek? Good to see you. But if you know, you know, right? Whatever it is, your experience in life can give you the choice, the distinction of knowing, right? Meek is my girl. She's my day one. She's one of my day ones. You know, she knew, and I'm using her example. She knew she had to get up out of where she had to get up out of, just to start have a new beginning in life. She just knew it. Why? Because her experience told her if she stays there any longer, she's gonna be in doom and gloom. If I was to stay in New York any longer, who knows what would have happened to me? You know what I mean? Like, New York, as much as people love the city, they don't go in those inner boroughs. They don't go into the trenches. They don't go into, you know, they may hear about Brooklyn, but they don't know about Brooklyn. You may hear about Harlem, but you don't know about Harlem. You got to know a thing. Maybe it is through an experience, but we also have to understand that an experience does not have to mean that you went through it. You can observe something and say you experienced something because you was a witness of a situation. You was a witness of uh, uh of a of the fireman getting up in the tree to save the cat, or you was a witness of somebody volunteering their services to help that homeless man or person find something to eat. You have an experience through that, but because you was there to witness it. You was on scene, right? That's the best part of knowing, is that you can be on the scene and pick it up. You can also know by somebody's story. You can also know about all of these things, right? But the best way is for you to experience it, because you don't have lying eyes. You see what you see. Now, what happens after you intake that information is solely up to you. Well, I didn't really see if that person stole that piece of candy from the store. I just seen them walk out the store with candy. You saw them walk out with candy, but you don't know if they paid. That's knowing what you see, right? So the experience of knowing is very important in life, right? We come on here and joke. I joke all the time, and I should always shout out G.I. Joe, because I say knowing is half the battle. I got you, Mo. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Knowing is half the battle, and it is half the battle, because what you know is something, but what you do with it is is a different thing. Does wisdom come from having knowledge from experience or education? It comes from everything, because you can read a book and say, you know what, you go through. All right, Columbus discovered America, right? Okay, I'm gonna look this up. Okay, did Columbus discover America? Then you find out that Columbus did not touch the continental United States of America, right? Well, if he didn't touch it, how did he discover it? Because you educated yourself to become knowledgeable, to know that that man didn't do that. You have the knowledge of knowing he didn't touch America. So yes, you can do that. You can experience it through educating yourself, right? But here's the other part about it, right? So now you go over here and say, well, what is wisdom, right? So let's go ahead and look this up. Wisdom is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment. The quality of being wise. The soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment, right? So that basically means if you don't put it into action, the knowledge don't mean nothing. You're only wise when you put this thing into order, right? For example, if I come up here and say, you know what, I think a cheerful giver is someone that is worthy to be appreciated, right? How would I apply that, right? So if I was to come up here and say, you know what, I'm giving everybody $100, right? And I'm doing it from the bottom of my heart. So my wisdom is that, if I pass this on to everybody, they will appreciate it, because they have gained something for their benefit, for their usefulness. Or better yet, let's throw out the $100. If I have this conversation, I'm having this conversation, right? I feel that the wisdom of me knowing what I'm giving out right now is going to be beneficial, because we now understand that wisdom without wisdom without knowledge is not beneficial for a lot of people. It can lead people to chaos. It can lead people to damnation, destruction, chaos. Or some people can use knowledge just because they know what will happen, to weaponize what their knowledge is, right? However you view it, you don't use the wisdom in the proper perspective, you can do a lot of harm more than good, right? So this is why sometimes I can't just come up here and just have conversations. I need to know what I'm talking about, just because I am responsible for the things that I am giving to those that are listening to my voice. If I don't have an understanding, if I don't have the wisdom of saying, you know what, I need to put this in a perspective. If I don't have the responsibility, right, of understanding what I'm doing, the accountability falls on me, because I'm not responsible with the words that I'm using. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you have to understand they must coexist, but you must understand how important wisdom is in order for you to be knowledgeable to the people that you are around. You know, is what you do with the knowledge for favorable outcomes in decision making. And that's what I'm getting to, Meek. That's the point I'm trying to get to, because at the end of the day, if you don't know, if you're not wise enough to put this into understanding for everybody, the wisdom don't mean a hill of beans. It don't mean, it's not even, it ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. Wisdom is important because it doesn't matter how much you know. It's how you give it or how you apply it to a situation. You know that you must put some water on a fire to put the fire out. For most of us understand that part, right? We may have to do a little bit more, but if you don't apply that wisdom to show that information that you gave is factual, it doesn't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. If I come up here and say, you know what, I love everyone, but if I and then not use my wisdom to put that on display, you know, asking how you doing, how's the family, you know, how have you been personally, right? That means, Nicole, good morning. That means I'm not wise enough to say that I love you, because I cannot apply it. I know what I need to do, but if I don't apply it, it don't mean nothing. You know, everybody says that they want to be rich, right? But if you know how to get the finances, do you apply those things? This, like I tell y'all all the time, this is why I share financial information with people, not because I'm doing it as well, but because these people are guiding you because they know. And if they know, their wisdom, the wisdom of them telling us how to do it is going to be on display. This is why I would share Lisa J. Shout out to her. You know, this is why I would share Prez the Investor. I shout out to him. This is why I shared these people. Why? Because they have the knowledge of a field that they're talking about, right? Because they know, they have the answers. They're doing it every day. They're still gaining information. They're still gaining the understanding. They're still gaining the know-how, how to put that money into a proper use. And with that, they give you the information. Now it's up to you to see. It's time for us to fact check. The wisdom of a thing is for us to fact check these people, right? So if they say, you know what, put $1 into Facebook, Meta, and you put that $1, Riaz, good afternoon, how are you? If you put that $1 onto Facebook and that $1 becomes $2, then there's no, then we can't say, you know what, what they're saying isn't true, because the proof is in the pudding. The wisdom is for you to understand, now that they gave you that information, how far could you take that to become an investor to where it's the money is working for you instead of you working for the money. Glad to hear, Riaz. Those are the things that we need to figure out. If there's people telling you how to overcome a situation, if somebody gives a testimony, right, that you can only give a testimony if you went through the situation, right? Well, you know, I was homeless at one time. Somebody gave me an opportunity, and then I bust my hump, and then now I am in my own apartment, or I'm in my own home, or whatever the case may be. The wisdom is they have learned from what they didn't do to apply what they do, and now you can share with other people. That's wisdom. Wisdom is you, the output of giving your knowledge. You giving your what you know to somebody else. What is it to gain the world but lose your soul? Well, in this situation, what is it to have all of this information and keep it to yourself? It don't mean nothing. Why? Because you can unlock somebody's way out through the knowledge of what you've been through. You know what I mean? Meek made it easy for people not to be scared to take off, because their fervor, the consciousness of God just said, yo, go ahead and make that move. You know what I mean? Logical thinker, my favorite logical thinker. She said, you know what? It's time for me to stop what I'm doing. I'm on my way up. I got to put things down that kept me down. And now she's on her way up. And now she has wonderful stories about how long It's been since she did things in her past and what she gained from it. She's gained a wonderful life. She has a beautiful son. They work together. They have their situations, but that's what parents and children do. We all grow up at the same time. But if she didn't stop doing what she did in the beginning, she would have never learned her lesson, because now she knows what it's like to raise a teenager. She's going through that and she's learning every day. So she's like, well, you know what? Let's keep our children's mind active. Let's not let it sit on the wayside and let it be idle, because we understand that idle mind is the devil's playground. Meaning there's so many dark things that come into your mind that you will stop the momentum of doing the right things in life. She's learned that. She's gone through that. She has the knowing and the experience of what happens if any of that occurs in her life. So this is why I tell y'all also, because you go through these things, that our adversity makes you more diverse. Because if you go through a thing, you know how to finish it off. You know how to overcome it. You know how to gain the victory over that thing. And once you gain the victory, that's why the testimonies are so heartfelt, because when you tell us what you went through and we hear the emphasis in how you overcame that situation, you become the person of knowledge and wisdom. You have combined those things together because you have found a way to allow people to understand what you go through. Even when Nicole is telling us, she goes through, she goes through a town and if this is her, right? She said, wait a minute, I didn't even know that this bus goes through this. I didn't know this bus came all the way down there. And she probably lived there most of her life. Because now you understand, because when you observe a thing and you're like, if I'd have known that, I ain't had to walk all of this time all the way down here. I could have just took this to the train, so on and so forth. But now she has the knowledge of knowing that bus runs past that train, that I could have just jumped out my house and caught the bus to the train, right? Now she knows. And now that she knows, it might be a day she might say, you know what, I don't want to walk to, I got to hurry up and get there. The bus might get me faster there to the train station in my feet. You know what I mean? Those are the things that that's a little minor of a knowing, but you know that it's possible, and you can give that advice to anybody that lives in that town. That's what wisdom is. Wisdom is the fact that you understand that you can help somebody with what you know. That's the simplest way of putting it. That's the easiest way to go through a thing. Shout out to my 33 brother, because he is so vast and a lot of information that when he comes on here and he puts it on display, he's not showing you that he's arrogant. He's showing you that I have this information, and it's wise if you look at it from this perspective, because if you look at it from this perspective, it gives you a different look than the lenses that you have on it yourself. And this is what we need to do as whatever you want to call us, a community, a tribe. Just don't call me a hood, because I don't want to be a hood. I don't want to be a self individual that brings people down. I want to be a community to where my information helps you, your information helps me. We pick each other up, so on and so forth. We gain something from each other. We're not here just I'm using Riaz to just hear music and I'm not giving them nothing back. Or I'm just listening to me when she becomes inspirational and what she feels God told her, and not pour back into her. It's time for us to reciprocate this knowledge and become wise by doing so, by speaking on what we know, right? And it's okay if you don't know everything. This is why that's why no man is an island. No one should be alone. And I get it, because a lot of us probably have the mentality, it's me against the world. And I understand that part. But the knowledge is, I may need that financial advisor to give me the information to work on something on my own, right? And I still could be in the same, I got that information. I learned this information from Lisa. Now I'm going to apply it. I learned this information from Prez. Now I'm going to apply it. But you still are on your own, because you have to do the work by yourself, right? And that's the loneliness that we should be focused on instead of, I'm alone because nobody loved me. Or first of all, know yourself enough to love yourself. Know yourself to know that you can be better than where you are at this particular moment. And you can be on an emotional high right now, but there's more room for growth. Excuse me. This is why I tell you, stop stunning your growth by saying you're grown. Because in your mind, you're saying you're grown, but that's only physically. If you understand there's room for growth in your mind, your spirit, your conscience, your soul, you have opportunity to grow. An old dog can't learn new tricks. The old dog won't learn new tricks if his mind is closed. If he had the knowledge of knowing that there's always room for growth, he can learn something new at 60 years old, right? Like if logical thinking, well, Meek might can understand this too, because she has a child that's around her as well, right? The more you listen to the children speak, you pick up on their language. What does that mean? What is the ski bop or whatever the new word is? And they explain it to you. You just learned something new. You learned how to connect with your child in their today language. We don't just say, well, I remember we used to say, what's happening? Right now, you learned how the kids are talking today. That's a knowledge that you need so you can stay up to par with what your children are saying. Right? That's knowledge. And the wisdom is you picking it up. Well, I know that, ski bop means A, B, and C. Right? And you passing this on because, it may work. Somebody else in California might say the same thing. Does it mean the same thing? Oh, I need to investigate this. And now you passing along the knowledge that you picked up, and the wisdom is coming in because you're doing the work to gain the knowledge. Wisdom only works if you apply the knowledge that has been given unto you. And this is why you have to share what you know, right? You taking it to the grave for what? You're a millionaire. You taking this money to the grave for what? You got all of this knowledge of how to overcome a situation, right? What good is it going to do you if you don't share it? Right? If you have life and you see somebody that don't have life, they just living, you got to pass that along. If they don't use it, it's okay. Leave it there for them, because one day they may say, you know what, let me try that, man. Mo gave me an idea 15 years ago. Let me see if that worked. Oh my God, it worked. Riaz gave me an idea yesterday. If I sit there and just tune everything out and just listen to the beat, it might make me think about another thing and put words to it, and I might make a song about it. Right? Meek might just say, you know what? Just sit in your closet and just pray and fast over it. Okay, this is what God said to me when I took that advice. Now you gain the knowledge by applying what someone told you into your personal life, your personal aspect. And this is what we need to go forward, right? It doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, you're still alive. You still have the opportunity to gain knowledge and to share it with somebody else. That's all we can do right now, right? The same way we have to be a leader for our children, because whether you like it or not, you must know that you are a role model to somebody in your life. Somebody's looking at you saying, you know what? This is the only example that I got. Let's use it wisely. Let's use who we are correctly, right? Now, they see us being fools and acting all goofy and stuff like that. They might think it's okay to be goofy because that's the knowledge that they're picking up. Oh, it's okay for us to be goofy. It's okay for us to go up there and cuss somebody out. Oh, it's okay to say, you know what? I stepped on your shoe and not say, excuse me. It's okay not to have manners. That's a knowledge that somebody's picking up because that's what is on display for them. That's all they can see. The same way they can watch TV is the same way they will be watching us as they get older, our children. Or if we go outside, that's the same way somebody might be acting towards, they reacted to what we're doing. We have to be better than what we have to be better. We have to understand. We have to have knowledge that people are watching us. And how do we pay them back? By being that example. So, we display the kindness. We hold our child hand if we're crossing the street. We don't care if it's a one-way street or not. we looking at, it's okay if we don't look both ways. We got to look both ways across the street. Okay, now these children are learning. Okay, well, at least if I'm a child, I got to hold mommy's hand. Sometimes they'll hold your hand just by instinct now because they know we gave them that information. Hold my hand. I'm here to protect you. Right? That's the knowledge that we're putting in. That's the display that we're putting on for these children. So now they grab your hand, instantaneously. Well, oh, I got to cross the street. Hold on. Wait, let me grab your hand. Mom, let me grab your hand. Dad, let me grab your hand. Why? Because that's what we are teaching them. That's the knowledge of what we're giving to our children. And we're all still children-like because we always have room for growth. That's the beauty of knowledge. It gives you time to say, you know what? As long as I'm breathing, I can learn something new. Right? You may not be as quick as those children with the understanding of what they're giving you, but you can understand nonetheless. That's the beauty of having knowledge and wisdom work together. But just imagine if you had that and not wisdom. You just know stuff and you just keeping it to yourself. What the hell good is that? What good is that to have a testimony just for you and knowing that you watching somebody go through the same thing you went through, maybe in a different manner. If what worked for me, I sat down and I had to really evaluate where my life was going. If I keep going this way, well, what made you change? What made you decide to go that route? Well, I felt I didn't have another choice. I felt I need to just go on and do what I need to do. And for me, it worked. Okay, let me see if that worked. Okay, I see why she did that now. Now, if I go about it this way, it may work better for me, right? That's the wisdom that you gain from somebody giving you what they know, giving you the game, as we used to say back in the day, giving you the game. You can tweak that game to suit you in your way of life. That's what knowledge is, right? But if that person don't give you the game, if they don't speak about it, if they don't tell you how it goes, you don't know if it will work for you or not, because you don't even know the ingredients to bake that thing, to make that, a part of your life. This is why that's why you must make knowledge and wisdom work together. Because if you don't have the wisdom to speak about it, no one can know if you know what you're talking about. Hey, wait a minute. They know what they're talking about because I just turned $1 into $1.50. The increase of that dollar just went up because they told you to apply it in that situation. You applied it. Well, if you take your time and just listen to the children, you can understand it better. Well, now I sit there and, okay, you said this, and this. Okay, now I understand why you get so frustrated. You feel like the teacher's not taking their time to help you get through that part. Okay, so let me give you what I know. Let me help you with your homework, right? I learned this a long time ago. This might be easier. If you put the one on top of the other one, you would have two instead of one. That's from knowledge and wisdom. Now you gave the game to that child. Now they know they got to add the one and make 1 and 1 2 instead of just having the one. This is what we need to do going forward. It's not because we just talking the talk. It's because we have the experience to give to somebody that don't have it. And I'm using the parent and children analysis, but we can all learn from each other right now, to this very second. I've learned so much from Logical Thinker. I've learned something from Riaz. And for those of you that don't know who Young Riaz is, Young Riaz is younger than everybody that's talking in the chat, or he's younger than most people that we have conversations with on YouTube. So while we think we giving him some advice, he could turn around and be giving us, some wisdom as well. Like, we talk like this in England because this, and this. Okay, well, now I know if I ever go to England, I know I can't do this, and this. You know what I mean? Because he's giving us a perspective from his experiences, his understanding, his knowing of what's going on in his town. So if you ever go around this town, hey, I need to carry myself this way. I need to walk accordingly in this manner. I can't wear this color because if they see this color, it's a problem. So on and so forth. That's what people give one another when you have conversation. A great conversation is what you pick up and learn from the next person. If we just sitting there talking idly, we're passing time. But if you go into a conversation with knowledge and wisdom, you're gaining something for your growth and the betterment of the person that you learning from, right? A better you is a better us. That's what my 33 brother means all the time. If we're having a conversation and he tells me, look, you just look from the why perspective. And all I've been doing is looking from the where and the who's. I get to understand why it's important to look. That's another lens to look from. This is what we need to grow. You still can grow, everybody. Ladies, and it may be a news flash for everybody. This just in. At your age, you still can develop. You still can grow. It's just not physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. You can grow, everybody. But if nobody is there to give you the wisdom of their knowledge, then you will never know how to grow. This is why I do what I do. And I may not get the views, and I may not get the steady subscribers. I might not hit 1,000 subscribers. I may not hit 1,000,000 subscribers, but the fact that you do what you do to pass on what you know is priceless. It's priceless. And when you get to that priceless aspect, it's worth more than what y'all really, really, really understand. So you got to understand what you know is a key to somebody's future. It can rev up an engine to where I need to look at it from this perspective. If I say go over there and you can gain some information, go over there and gain the information. Because at the end of the day, what you learn is valuable. But what you give back out can be more valuable than even what you entailed or what you intaked in the first place. So this is why I do the things that I do. People ask, why do you do the things that you do? Are you looking for clicks? If that's what it do, that's what it do. Are you looking for clout? If that's what it do, I just feel like I am obligated, right? I feel obligated of what I think I know it can be used by other people. If they pick up on it, they pick up on it, right? If they use it, they use it. If they don't use it, they don't use it. But the one thing I know for sure is that I can't complain that, somebody need to come from this perspective. I can't say that no more because now I've done it. Now, somebody might say, maybe I could take his word and come from a different perspective. Go right ahead. Information, knowledge is you can't trademark, you can if you put it together, but you can't trademark what a person thinks. You can't trademark their experiences in everyday life. It may not be a financial gain, but it's a soulful one. It's a spiritual one. It's one to make you say, you know what he said makes sense, or what she said makes sense. It brought a piece to me that I haven't had in a long time. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, you got to sit in it so that way you can get comfortable in that piece. Some people might think chaos is their peace. Somebody might think, mayhem is their comfort zone. That's not me. I don't deal with chaos and mayhem. I don't like it. That's why I haven't been on here, because there's been so much going on in my real life, even though I know that this is real life, but everyday life, that I got to take time to withdraw from things, because sometimes real life kicks your tail. It kicks your hind parts and turn it into quarters, because your mind is so scattered all over the place. But even with that, you got to learn, how do I withdraw from that? What can I gain from that chaos? I gained that, if it's not for me, I need to step away. If it's not for me, I need to roll the hell out. And this is the things that we have to apply to ourselves in everyday life. You know what I mean? Wisdom, knowledge without wisdom could be chaotic, because you could be in the very presence of someone that you claim to love and watch them go through an experience that you went through and say nothing. You are responsible for that downfall. But if you put it on the table, listen, John Doe, this is what I did to overcome that sadness. Jane Doe, this is what I did to overcome that depression. John Doe, this is what I did to make a couple of dollars. I don't care if I went out there and sold a bottle of water for a summer. It got me to where I can say, you know what, I can invest into this vending machine and put it into a laundromat, and now I'm doing the things that it's not the quickest to $1 million, but it's enough to have an increase in my wallet. Right? These are the things that you know because you applied it into your life. Right? And when you apply it to your life, that's the knowledge that you gained, and now it's only right for you to spread that knowing to somebody else that may be in need of it. That's where wisdom come in. That's why you always seeked out the elders, because you believe that they went through it, and when they told you and it worked for you, now you could confirm that they went through it because it worked that way for me too. Maybe not in the way that it worked for you, but I got the same results. That's why wisdom is valuable, because the way you give that information out is very important. It's one thing to know it, but it's another thing to pass that information to someone that could really value your opinion, right? I've seen growth on here, right? I've seen it all the time. Shout out to Chelsea Lynn, because that's one person that she spoke only about one particular aspect of the sport. Now she's diversifying herself because she's now learning, okay, I can have this conversation about this basketball conversation, because now I took the time to listen to what somebody said, do the research, confirm that is correct, and now I can go forward with it. That's what wisdom can do. Wisdom can make somebody become more knowledgeable. That's why I always thought that it was hand in hand together. But now, because I'm getting older, wisdom only accounts when you give it to somebody. You just knowing doesn't make you wise. Now you got to distribute what you know, right? If Mo said, you know what, I'm sitting there and I'm taking this whooping because these bugs are killing me, but my son is enjoying himself. Now you understand that she's really putting herself out there, because hey, she might not know that she might not be worried about the bugs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that we have to do. Now I'm wondering why it wasn't revealed to her before. Like, if her not having that info early had an effect on the trajectory of her life. Certain people won't help. But that's what I'm saying. It makes you want to learn more. And when you want to learn more about a situation, you can go through the biography of somebody, right? Like everybody saw the Michael Jackson story yet again, right? And now it made you look like, damn, I didn't know that really happened. Why didn't I see this before? Excuse me, they had a rough life, this, that, and the third, right? When you go through those situations, you have that understanding of, hey, I have to do more work. And this is the things that I'm saying. We have to go through the things that we go through in order for us to become knowledgeable of a situation. If you never tied your shoe, how you going to tell somebody to tie their shoe? How do I tie my shoe? I don't know. I just slid my foot in the shoe and I ain't had to tie it. But you're going to tell somebody how to go through a situation of tying your shoe. You can't teach somebody what you don't know. That's the thing that we have to understand. If you ain't experienced it, if you don't have the knowledge of going through what you went through, don't try to teach nobody nothing. These are the things, and we have people, this is why, you can, now let me clarify something. You can learn something from hearsay. You can. This is why I said before, I just want to experience the thing, so that way I could tell you how it works for me instead of me just hearing a situation, right? Like somebody could tell me how not to be depressed. Now, while I was depressed a few weeks ago because family dynamics, I'm losing family all over the place. Now that I applied myself and applied what I've learned from these people, I understand how it works for them, right? So now I have the understanding or the knowledge of how I can overcome, You're gonna feel away for a little bit, right? Because you lost a family member, you lost a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, or whatever, whoever it was. You're going to feel that loss for a little while. Now it's up to you to say, you know what? I think the grieving time is over, or whatever the case may be. Now I got to go ahead and now I got to live how that person would want me to live. They probably stop crying, get up and go do what you need to do. Live your life. But I'm missing you, such and such. Okay, I understand that, but I'm going to be with you in memory and love always. Go do what you need to do. And that is what and that is what you got to go through. These are the things that's how you get. Well, you know what? I can't tell. That's why I tell people I can't tell nobody how to grieve, because you can't, because you don't know their state of mind. You don't know how valuable that person was. You don't know that, right? So you can't tell somebody how to do that. You could tell them how it worked for you, and if it works for them, then they understand what you're saying now. They're getting what you're putting down. So those are the things that you gotta really understand going forward. In the program, we always say you can't give away something you don't got, and that's what I'm saying. If you don't have it, how you gonna give? How you gonna give? I'm gonna give you $1, but I don't have it, so you can't give it to me. Then you can't figure it out, right? I got $1. I'm gonna give you $1. Now you gotta sit there. Well, damn, how can I give this person $1 if I only got 1 penny? I gotta find 99 pennies to get. You know what I mean? Like you can't give gas if you on fumes. You can't give wisdom. You can't give knowledge if you ain't experienced nothing. These are the things that you understand. Yeah, my it was for me, Mo. It was just I lost a couple people. I lost a couple people. I was on the verge of losing another one. And when you become overwhelmed with that situation, it's just like your situation with the neighbor, right? You become so engulfed in the situation that you take it upon yourself to say, you know what do I need to do? How can I make this better? Wait a minute, let me slow down. Let me get myself together. Because if I'm running amok, I can't help this person who's going through it. I might be hindering them from gaining a peaceful state if I'm running around all chaotic. You know what I mean? So that's the. So for me, it was like I said, I lost a couple family members, right? And I'm like, damn, now sometimes even in life you get to like for me, there was elders in the family. So like, you know what? Damn, now that the elders are gone, what should I do? Would they want me to step in? Do they want me to observe? Do they want me to, play, sit where I'm sitting? Do they want me to take an extra role? Right? You gotta look at things from an understanding of what's next, and not add so much pressure to yourself because these people are gone that you feel like you gotta keep up the traditions of a thing. You might could start a new tradition or whatever the case may be. But I'm doing well. I appreciate that question though, Mo. But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You apply so much to yourself because you think but when you know, right? Like damn, grandma would want me to, make sure the family's okay. So let me just check on everybody. Let me go from this perspective, right? Let me look at it from over here. Let me look at it from over there, right? That's the experience that you gain from the elders, right? So now you try to apply. Listen, kids, this is what That's why we tell the stories, to our children. Your grandmother would have said this, that, and the third. Your grandfather would have did this, and that, or your uncle or your aunt, that you never got to meet. They were so goofy, and you're starting to remind me of them. They was acting like this, Dad. Absolutely, your aunt and uncle was just straight goofy. But when it was time for them to love, they loved. When it was time for them to pay attention, even when they didn't want to, they had to stand at attention because that was something serious that was getting ready to happen for the family. Things like that, right? But that's just the story. But that's your knowledge of your family that you're passing down to your children. So one day they can tell you, Mom told me a story about grandpa, and grandpa did this, that, and the third. Oh, well, hey, maybe we might do that one day. We went camping for a while Dad went fishing just to find a piece of quiet area for him to just sit down and think and just explore nature or whatever the case may be. If that child picks that up, you know what I mean? That's a family tradition, right? We always talking about family curses. The family curse is something that is learned. That means somebody gave us the knowledge, gave us the wisdom of their curses, right? That's all they knew. So if you break that, if you break the learned behavior, now you give them, you can be prosperous if you sit there and say, you know what, put $25 in this account every time you get paid, and let that $25 work for you. So that way you don't got to struggle at the age of 60, as we see so many people still struggling at the age of 60 because they don't have no money. They can't retire when they want to retire, or so on and so forth. They still working at Walmart, checking receipts and stuff like that. I'm giving you what I know will work, because somebody in this family did it, and now we call them rich, but they took the time to invest in themselves. So now it's time for you to invest in yourself. That's what knowledge gets you. Knowledge gets you the opportunity for you to grow to where you don't have to worry about certain situations no more. That's why, like I said earlier, that's why for me, adversity makes you more diverse. If you go through a thing, you more diversified. You ain't got to worry about, well, what if they break my heart? Or what if I don't have, what if the banks crash? If the bank crash, my money's still working for me. This is stuff that I've learned. This is things that I've learned, right? And the 2008 crashes. I just ain't have a better perspective of it because I never thought that I could be in the opportunity that my money could work for me. But now listening to these people like Alicia J in the press, I could say, you know what? I put $10, I put $50 a month in, and now it's working. Now, this $50 is turning into $60 every quarter, or whatever the case may be, $55 or $60 or whatever your return is off of that stock. You wouldn't know that if you didn't pay attention to what they're giving you. They're giving you the game. That's why they're wise, and they're modest, because they're not going to take the credit because it's right. If it was them just doing it, they would be doing it for selfish gain, and that's not knowledge. That's just greed. That's a different thing. If you're doing it because because I'm right all the time, that's not what wisdom is. Wisdom is you give somebody the opportunity to see if it works for them, and if it works for them, they gain the knowledge. You give them the game, they see if the game works for them. This is what we need to do going forward. This is why, I can come up here and say, you know what, I'm doing everything that I can in order for somebody to grow in whatever information that they're gained. And if they gained it and if they're going for it, I don't want the credit. I just want people to know that, hey, that information was put out there and now it works for me. And now the way you pass that information on may help somebody else. It's the give to gain. The knowledge is not good without the wisdom. The wisdom is you passing it on to somebody so somebody else can gain the information, and now they can become knowledgeable and pass it on to somebody else. That's the only way life it will work, in my opinion. Maybe it's my opinion, and I'm okay with that. But if you don't give the information that you gained, you having it don't mean nothing. That's why knowledge without wisdom don't get you nowhere. If you know something and if you don't share it with somebody, it's no good. It's of no value because you know it and you know it alone. That doesn't get you nowhere. That doesn't gain. That doesn't lift nobody up. That doesn't lift you up because you're not applying it to yourself. And so, every day that we are breathing, we should be giving out what we know. Whatever we think is a person's going through. Listen, I went through that before. I was just I understand your pain, right? The best way I could tell you is take your time of when you are grieving, take your time so you can fully get over it. So that way you can go forward. That would be my advice to somebody that just lost a loved one, right? Because I just had to go through that, and I had to take my time to fully get myself together. Now, you might be functional, right? You could be a functional griever, but you want that person to be fully able and capable of going forward with their life, because you went through that, and that's what worked for you. So each one teach one. A better you is a better us. Shout out to the 9%. That's where I got that from. But it just makes more sense when you sit there and apply what's being given to you. If I can get somebody to see a different perspective, I've done my part. It's not for me to say that I'm right. It's not for me to show that I know what I'm talking about. It's just for somebody else's gain to have a different perspective. So that way they can apply it, become a better person, whether it's financially, spiritually, or whatever. They could be a better version of themselves. Why? Because what I know, I gave it to somebody. What Mo knows, she gave it to somebody. What Meek knows, she gave it to somebody. What Nicole knows, she gave it to somebody, and it's working for them. What Riaz know, he gave it, and it's working in their favor. That's why we have to just stop assuming that knowledge and wisdom is the same, because we all know what happens if you assume. You make an ASS out of you and me. But if you apply it and it works, it's no longer an assumption, it's a knowing. That's why knowledge is the key. And when I said knowing is half the battle, the other half is to put that knowledge on display. And it may make you wise, but more importantly, what you gave them was sound advice, wise advice. That's where you become wisdom, but the wisdom comes from the results of what happens when you pass what you know. And so, I appreciate everybody coming through. Shout out to Mo Perspective, shout out to Young Riaz, shout out to Nicole. Good to see her as always. My girl Meek. Y'all in the 757. Y'all go look her up. She do the head thing. Y'all check her page out at her Meekness. You know what I mean? Y'all see what she do. Y'all in that 757, man. Y'all need your hair done. Go ahead and do that. Listen, my logical thinker. Listen, man. When she came up and she started putting things down from a different perspective, you shout them out, because they're giving you a new perspective in life. They're giving you a new idea, a new vision, a new view of how to overcome some things. And ever since she's been around, I've gained so much from her. That's why, that's my sis. I can say I love her, because she's doing all of these people that I'm talking about. They're doing this from the kindness of their heart, because they say, you know what, this is what I know. This is how I got through. This is what I can give you. And I'm doing this as a cheerful giver. Knowledge can make you a cheerful giver. You're like, this might work for you. Go ahead and do that. And that's the best way going in life, to be cheerful and giving the advice. Don't just do it because I told you so. Do it because it may work for you. That's why knowledge and wisdom, for me, it should work together. But I know from a different aspect, what happens with knowledge without wisdom. It just leaves you. It makes you void. I don't want nobody to be void. I want people to be valuable. You are valuable by giving us what you can possibly give us, whether it's your experience, your opinion, a thought, whatever. That's what knowledge gets us. Knowledge will make you an MVP, but it only makes you an MVP if you share what you got. So with that being said, y'all, I appreciate y'all coming through. I'll probably be on Sports Chat tonight, chilling with him, talking about sports, the NBA, wrestling, stuff like that. I'll be over there tonight, this around 11:30. Hope to see y'all there. But I'm always around. But I just, some things, sometimes you have to be pushed to give the information that you give, because sometimes you feel like it's falling on deaf ears. But I've learned, even those that are deaf, and there's no shot at nobody, even though they're deaf, they still hear from a different perspective. It may be reading lips, it may be reading in braille, you know what I mean? It may be reading, but I understand that, just the little bit that I got can be important and can get somebody through. So this is why I'm going to continue to do what I do. And like I said, I appreciate everybody stopping through. Until next time, y'all. This is Busted Down Brown. I'm out of here. Appreciate y'all.